Good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome to the Volquest Mailbag Podcast. I'm Eric Kane alongside Austin Price and Brent Hubbs. Got a lot of questions to get into today regarding Tennessee football, recruiting, basketball, some baseball ones in there as well. Name, image, and likeness, rev share, everything you possibly imagine. So we'll jump down into it first. Question number one, TR Smoove. Who are some young guys you guys are interested in seeing play on Saturday?
Well, I think the obvious place you start, Austin, is the quarterback spot, and what does that look like? But I think it goes beyond that for me. I mean, I want to see Bennett Warren. Where is he at? What does he look like? What do they do at the other tackle position? Do they give a Jeremiah Hurd some opportunity to show what he can do? He's not played, to my knowledge, this year. If it is, it's been a little bit of mop-up duty against ETSU at the very end. Does he get some work at tackle? It's been Brian Grant, but did you take a look at Hurd more in depth in this game? Those young running backs we haven't seen. Where does that at? I think that one's an important position. I think one, those guys need some love, but two, like where are they from a development standpoint? Because you're trying to figure out what that room's going to look like next year. And the back end in the secondary, there's obviously what does Merritt look like? What does Walton look like? Because those are going to be factors in how many bodies you got to take in the transfer portal and what you're looking at when you go through the roster management phase here.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw in guys like Jaden Harmon, who played a little bit but haven't played a lot lately. But I'm with you on DeJuan Morris, Radarius Jackson. As I think Hubs bought in on the stock on him early, and I'm with him on that one. Even a guy like Nick Moore, what he gets in there at center. What's he look like in the second half? Because I know that in talking to some people around the program, there's some thoughts that he can be Tennessee's next center. That he's had a really impressive, stretch through fall. Even though he's not playing, but he's doing the good things in practice. Routinely, you don't get much out of Jeff County, but you might admit.
You beat me to it, Jeff. I was going to say, from Jeff County, no surprise he's pushing for playing time, but you had to throw the insult out there. So, is he still snapping left-handed?
Scooter Houston, and for that, Spencer Riley,
Jeff Jennings as well.
That's right.
Yeah, I think another one, Eric, that you jump into because you haven't seen a lot of him is like I think it's important to lather Marion Dye up this week as well.
I agree with that.
Listen, what he is. I think there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing to say those guys aren't going to be major factors for you. But I think Dye needs, he was getting some run early in the year and it's kind of gone away in the month of October. I think it's important to get him back going in the direction. Maybe he can help you the rest of the way this year, but I think he needs some run and get lathered up a bit.
And Christian Gass, he missed the first part of the year coming up with that injury because all fall camp first couple of weeks is back. I think, getting him a little bit of playing time, just make him feel good about himself going into the offseason.
Yeah, Tennessee is going to have to rely on Marion Dye a lot next year, and he's played some, but he's going to have to be a dude next year for sure. Get him a whole lot of run. This is a perfect game for that. And Christian Gass, I couldn't agree more. Heupel really praised him, like when he was finally cleared and eligible and ready to go. Asked about him, I think it was in a press conference or SEC teleconference or something. A guy that has tremendous upside. It's just when you miss all of spring, when you miss all of fall camp, you're just behind the eight ball. Like you're not going to make a difference this year. It's just no fault of his own.
Yeah, and the point being, this game's got more interest than a lot of people want to give it credit for when they look at the point spreads, nearly 40 points. I think if you followed the team closely and you're thinking about on down the road, not just the last month of this season, there's a lot of intrigue to this game because there's a lot of individual things that you can start to glean from as you close out this regular season.
How does is Coach Garner's uncertainty on the staff next season impacting defensive line recruiting at all? Example with Drake Quinn, Jordan Carter.
That's not. Those kids don't even know he's on an expiring contract. And again, Rodney, I've said this, I'll say it again. Auburn, because of his situation and because it's his alma mater, their new coach, if they wanted to hire Rodney Garner, he would definitely listen there. Otherwise, I expect him back in Tennessee. I don't expect him anywhere else.
If Gardner isn't on staff next season, is Chop move to defensive line coach, or do you think that there would be an outside hire?
I think they would leave Chop at Leo's and hire a defensive line coach. The question is, does Marion Hobby want it? Does he want to go back to the NFL? I know he's here this year as a former Vol, but however, that one I don't know about. But I don't think that it would be Chop as the D-line coach.
No, I think they would probably leave it split. I think they would probably leave the two roles split, would be my guess. But I mean, who knows where anything lies right now? Again, Rodney Garner's work every day is working to be back, working to build his roster for next year. That's where his focal point is at this point in time. And he's not the only one. I mean, there are lots of people, that are working on new deals that don't have new deals done and that type of thing too. So it's not like he's the only one that there's a quote potential situation with. His deal is different for some personal reasons, as you've outlined on the message board, Austin, that's caused some of this discussion point, if you will.
Sure.
Dale 1972, when will the SEC drop the 2026 football schedule dates? Know the opponents, know home and away, don't know the dates.
Yeah, what is that, a December made for television event?
Yeah, I think so. It's what they've done in the past. It won't be past the first of the new year, I don't believe.
Agreed.
All of the football staffs are anxiously wanting to know it so they can start booking hotels, correct, Hubs? I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, you book stuff a year out. I mean, everybody is. They wanted it 6 weeks ago, so they wanted it as soon as they can get it.
Watching Texas A&M and Ole Miss have changed my way of thinking of NIL rev share. Do you think it's wiser to sign lower ranked quarterbacks and add more impact talent across your roster?
I read this question, and I mean, let's not act like Marcel Reed was a 2-star. I mean, coming out of high school,
He was a 4-star.
I mean, that was a 4-star player. I think he was in the top 20 quarterbacks around the country. I mean, there was an investment made to get Marcel Reed to come to A&M. They did not make a philosophy change. And before that, Connor Wegman, was he not a highly regarded player that they signed coming out as well? So it's not like A&M's got this philosophy that you're going to go get a bunch of no names and then have a no-name quarterback with people around him. That's not what they've done. Now, Ole Miss has done it different. I think that's more Ole Miss has not been able to land the prep guy that they necessarily have coveted, and so they've been in the portal. And Ole Miss has been a much heavier portal team. I think, one, because Lane Kiffin's recruiting prowess is probably not his greatest forte. Two, I think it's harder to recruit to Ole Miss in some regards. But A&M, I don't think falls into that category.
I mean, it was a composite 4-star, number 20 quarterback overall composite. He was as high as number 4 on ESPN at the quarterback spot, as low as 33 by On3. And so, yes, I mean, the point is he was the top 250 overall player when you sketched it out, by everybody. So, I mean, but now the bigger question is, and people are asking this question, it's a viable question, not using two schools as a specific answer or example, but where is the balance of getting an experienced transfer portal guy that may cost you $3 or $4 million versus going and investing in a high school kid that you play early because you've got so much investment into them? That's a viable discussion. I mean, I think that's the ultimate question he's asking there. And I do think it's interesting, kind of, where is the shift? Where's that going to go moving forward? I think to answer that, I think you just take as many. I mean, okay, Connor Wegman was a 5-star. Everybody, he's from Texas. Everybody thought he was going to be the man down there, right? He's big, strong, strapping, throws it like a missile. And the guy that beat him out was a guy who came from, MBA, a school that didn't throw it a ton, but threw it enough because Marcel was a talent. And Marcel was like 150 pounds in high school. And I mean, that's only a exaggeration low by maybe 10 or 15 pounds. Like, he was like 160 pounds. Like, he made George look like, like Hulk. And so, like, what he did was he went down there, he redshirted, he got bigger. And then when he got his chance, when Wegman went down, he took advantage of it. And so, to answer the question for me is, you take as many as you can. Take as many as you can, and that's what Lane's done. I mean, the kid from Ferris State went over there not thinking, he was going to be the starter. Maybe he was that confident that he was going to be, but he knew Austin Simmons was the pegged starter, and then Simmons got hurt. He got his chance, and he ran with it, much like Marcel Reed.
Well, and the reality, Eric, is there is no right answer to this question.
Right.
The same way there's not the right answer in the NFL draft, right?
Yep.
I mean, you look at it. I mean, Sam Darnold was a bust
until he wasn't.
Until he went to and got a new address, and he wasn't a bust. There have been other big free agency gets that ended up being bust. They didn't work out. The same way there have been top 5 draft picks that have worked and been exactly what you thought they would be. And then there's been guys who were drafted, and I know Tom Brady's a far extreme example, but there have been other 3rd-round draft picks, 4th-round draft picks that, you go that direction and you spend more money on a tackle and you spend more money on a corner and those type of things, and that guy hits. You just got to get it right. What's the answer to getting it right? There is no cookie cutter black and white answer. You just have to get it right, because if you don't get it right, Eric, at that position, at the college level and the NFL level, you don't win.
I mean, look at the NFL. They're like becoming like the retread quarterback league in terms of like Baker Mayfield was shipped out of Cleveland to Carolina and did nothing there at those 2 stops in. Has been fantastic with the Bucs. I mean, he's been awesome. Same thing like Daniel Jones with Indianapolis, or Darnold going from Minnesota to. I mean, Darnold had that pit stop in Carolina, and then was Minnesota, and then now Seattle. And so, like, I think college coaches could probably take a lesson from some of this. Is like, don't be so quick to cut bait on a kid. Much like kids have to be willing to be a little more loyal, and all that's hard because everybody, if they're not playing right away, they want to find the next thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, make sure you remember Darnold was in Carolina there for a bit, and that was some.
Really, they had him and Baker Mayfield and quarterback.
I know, right?
And neither one of them, it didn't work out. I mean, it's about your fit. There's lots of things that go into that position working or not working. And again, there have been free agency hits in the NFL that have gone really well, and there have been other free agent big money spends that didn't pan out. That you didn't get your value out of it. The same way. You can make an argument. I mean, what kind of value is Miami getting out of the investment they put into Carson Beck? Because they spent a ton of money into that one.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's been terrible, but he hasn't brought them. I mean, maybe they get into the playoffs and we'll see. But the point, again, is there is no right or wrong answer to that.
Yeah.
There is no one that's wiser versus the other. If it works, then you're wise for doing it. If it doesn't work, and some high school kid you passed on goes on to be a top 5 NFL draft pick, then you chose poorly, right? I mean,
it's like hiring a coach or the discussion. What kind of should a team have a GM or not? You can make cases for both. Texas Tech obviously looks like that could be a path you go down. There are other schools that don't have one that are having plenty of success that you could say you don't need it. So I mean, it's what you want to make it, right? Like it's just what you want to make it.
Well, think about the quarterback transfer for Tennessee. Okay, I mean, look, let's be real honest. Joey Aguilar wasn't the first call Tennessee made for a quarterback. Okay, it's worked out really well for Joey Aguilar at Tennessee. Would it have been that well with Luke Altmaier at Illinois, who's not had a very good year this year? I don't know. We never know. That's why there's no right or wrong answer. There's always an educated guess that takes place in that process.
And the biggest thing is whether you're the kid or the program, have conviction about what you go do, and don't have buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse is the worst. And I'm sure that Avery Johnson at K-State or Luke Altmaier at Illinois sit around and go, maybe I should have went to Tennessee. Maybe that would have made more sense because we're not very good here. Or maybe they're just happy where they're at with their surroundings.
And I think Steve Angeli made the right call. Now, he got hurt, unfortunately, but he was balling out for Syracuse. That was a pretty good football team there before his injury. And he was sitting there, went through spring practice like, okay, well, I'm probably not going to be the guy here. I'm out. And, he made the most of it.
There is no spring this time.
Yeah.
So, thus, like, it just makes you wonder, like, how many more kids will just go, I can't sit around here another year. There is no spring. There's no 3 months from now. We'll figure out if I'm in a different place. Like you have to knee jerk it and go in January if you're not sure.
Which is why weeks like this are so important.
Yes. Which circle back to what Hubs' initial point was.
All right, let's get a baseball question. Zjsvols. We've had a first-round pick in 4 straight MLB drafts. Let that sink in. So who's next? I was letting it sink in. Who is next? I think the easy one right here would be Henry Ford. Transfer coming over from Virginia. I think I'm putting my 3-2-1. I think if the season started today, I'd have him at third base. He could certainly play corner outfield. He's gonna be hitting third or fourth in your order. Him and let this sink in. Him, Levi Clark, who had a fantastic spring, and Blaine Brown, who many probably haven't seen yet. That's going to be a dangerous middle of the order for Tennessee. But Henry Ford is going to be the answer. Levi Clark, if he was eligible, he is not. Okay, so I don't know if anybody on the pitching side right now. Manny Marin's draft eligible. I don't know if he's a first rounder, though. So, yeah, I would go.
What's Henry Ford's nickname?
I don't know.
Is it Model T? I mean, it writes itself. Come on.
It fits itself, yeah. NIL deals, come on.
Let's call him Fairlane Ford.
I like it.
Nobody got that. That was a model of a car that Ford made. But go ahead.
That's an older model then, because I never heard of that.
Keep rolling. On to the next one.
I was gonna call him Bronco.
Newman 2 says, coming out of scrimmages, what's your best guess at a lineup? I think he's talking about baseball. Yeah, my 3-2-1, if you didn't see it, and again, there's always put a disclaimer out there. Number 1, it's November. Number 2, they always want versatility, but I think it's versatility on steroids this year. I really do. I mean, all these guys can play all over, literally. And where one guy, to be completely honest with you, Ariel Antigua had a fantastic fall, and that's great because he's a really good glove. But he hit, and he hit, and he hit. If you take Antigua out of the equation, it kind of everything fits a little bit easier. But he's right now he's leaving as your starting shortstop. So there's a bunch of different combinations. I went say they're playing a game tomorrow, I would go Garrett Wright behind the plate, but knowing Stone Lawless is also going to play throughout a weekend series. First base is Levi Clark. That's locked down. Take it to the bank. Second base, I would have Manny Marin. Short, Ariel Antigua. Third base is where I'd go Henry Ford. Right field, I'd go Reese Chapman. He's a veteran. He's going to get the first chance. Center field, Jay Abernathy. Left field, I would go Chris Newstrom. Designated hitter, I would go Blaine Brown. Now, Blake Grimmer deserves to play somewhere. And what a problem to have, right? I mean, he's one of Tennessee's better hitters, in my opinion. So Blake Grimmer could play left, maybe bump Newstrom. Blake Grimmer could get some DH. Blake Grimmer could play third if they want to put forward in the outfield. That's kind of where we're going back to that versatility. But this team can swing the bat, as always, and there's a lot of different options. But that's kind of how I would go if they played a game tomorrow. VolnRI. Austin, I heard a few weeks ago that there was a chance that DGG would reclassify to 2026. Any truth to that?
No, I mean, that rumor's been out there for a long time, but no, I don't see it.
Crystal Palace Vol, could a return to Adidas include a return to the black Sharpie outline jersey? That's black Sharpie away jersey outline.
Yeah, that's, Tennessee's creative will be hands-on in all the design stuff there, so that will not be an Adidas decision. That would be a Tennessee decision. My guess right now is they don't go that direction because the Stormtroopers seem to be pretty popular. I don't know that they'll go with a black outline on the jersey like we saw in the 90s. But again, that's not going to be Adidas's call. That'll be a collaborative. Those will be collaborative decisions made with Tennessee Creative in addition to Adidas.
HomeFoot Apparel, the exclusive apparel sponsor of Volquest.com. Football season is nearly over, but man, cold temperatures have been freezing this week in East Tennessee, and HomeFoot Apparel will have you covered to stay warm at the stadium, all right, and to be looking fresh. Vintage college design, beautiful designs representing your Tennessee Volunteers, a part of that Can't Miss Kickoff 2025 campaign where you're going to get football boxes, coaching jackets, bomber jackets, so much more. These football boxes, you can see it over my right shoulder in the view here. Never before seen items for the University of Tennessee that are not available anywhere else. Curated so fans can have new gear to wear all season long, suitable for all weather conditions. And again, going back to vintage college designs, down and back. It's like Throwback Thursday all the time, and you're wearing it. It is awesome, and it really kind of separates you from other Tennessee fans. You're going to be looking great in style, and that's all thanks to our friends over at HomeFoot Apparel. Go to HomeFootApparel.com to get started today. That is HomeFootApparel.com. Take advantage. Football season's nearly over. Get you decked out with vintage colors designs over at Home Field Apparel. Choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last, and if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt Workwear thought, hey, that's BS. So they built tough boots that feel great from day one, no break-in, no sore feet, because people out there doing the real work shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability. Brunt stands behind what they make. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, then send them back. I don't know any other project or brand that's doing that. That's a company that truly believes in their product. Right now, for a limited time, our listeners can get $10 off at Brunt when you put in that promo code VQ at checkout. Just head on over to bruntworkwear.com, put in the promo code VQ, and you are good to go. And if somebody asks you, hey, where'd you hear about Brunt? Tell them you heard about it from this show. Shellray 14, do you think having a 3-loss team or teams in the tournament to compete for the best team in the country waters down the playoffs? I'm not sure how anyone can think a 3-loss team is deserving for a chance to win a national championship.
I think it depends on the league that you're in. I mean, I think there's some 3-loss teams, in years that in this league, yeah, certainly you could make a case for them to have a chance to win and be one of the best teams in the country. There's in a league where they beat each other up. There's some other leagues where I don't think a 3-loss team has any reason to be in there. I think it's about finding, Austin, the best 16 or whatever the number goes to. I mean, I think it's going to go to 16 right now. It's the best 12, but I mean, there's going to be a 3-loss team make this field when it expands out of the SEC because of 9 conference games.
And there's going to be a 3-loss. I mean, there's in theory could be a 3-loss team depending on what kind of chaos we get the next 3 weeks this year. I mean, like, you just don't know. I will say this. I'm good with the question. I think that's the mindset of most fans. Like, again, you've got to adapt to this as more the NFL model. It's becoming more like the NFL. And so you're going to have teams that have multiple losses that get in there and do their thing. Look at Ohio State a year ago, right? I mean, no different with 2. And I mean, look at Texas. Let's say Texas goes on the road, beats Georgia, right? Let's play this game. And then has a narrow loss to undefeated Texas A&M. They could get in at 3 losses.
And you could look at them and say they should have lost at Kentucky and
exactly right. And you're exactly right.
That's kind of the point of the world. So I mean, Eric, you can scratch that itch any way you want to, right?
Yeah.
You can say, okay, well, they're not a very good 2-loss team because look how many games they could have lost. I mean, or they're a really good 3-loss team because look at who they lost to and when they lost them. Again, the challenge is, and it's always going to be a debate, finding the best teams to go play to see. And sometimes the best team is going to be a 3-loss team. Maybe it's a team that lost twice without their quarterback early in the year, and they got their quarterback back, and they end up losing one more time, and you say, man, they're one of the best teams in the country. I mean, there's all kinds of variables.
Okay, look at Texas, or look at the Ohio State last year, where they lost to Michigan. People were like, talented team, da-da-da-da-da. Then the team that rolled through the playoffs was like a different juggernaut, right? What's to say that a team like Texas doesn't find it finally? They do got all kinds of talent. It's not like they don't have talent. You're right; they could have easy, but Georgia could have 2 or 3 losses. They only got 1.
If Texas can figure out how to run the football again, it's dangerous. I mean, that was the best part about Texas last year, and they just couldn't do it this year.
To my point is, like, it's never as black and white, like 3-loss team. I mean, like, if you get hot, it's a tournament now. This isn't the old days where you just go play a bowl game and you're relying on the BCS for computer model and Brad Edwards and all those people. Like, it's a legit tournament. So just get in. Whatever seed you are, just get in and go play.
Wasn't it like 2018? I mean, this is going back a few years, but like, didn't Georgia got in the playoff as a 2-loss team? They did not even play in the SEC championship. They leapfrogged. I forgot who all was there. Alabama was in there, of course, but Georgia got in the 14 playoff with 2 losses, and didn't Georgia win the whole thing that year?
No, they lost.
Okay,
that was the Tua to Devontae Smith touchdown.
Gotcha. But like, you couldn't sit there, and I mean, there's always going to be a debate, but in my opinion, you couldn't sit there and say Georgia. Like, should Georgia make the field? That's a conversation. Was Georgia deserving to make the field? Hell yeah, it was. Like, Georgia was
beat Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl and Baker Mayfield, and then like I said, everybody thought they had Bama beat when they got that sack in overtime. And then, Devontae Smith.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, it's a conversation of deserving / can you go out there and get on a run and make something happen, especially in this playoff setting we're in now? Speaking of which, what are the chances the college football playoff expands to 16 teams for the 2026 season, with the SEC going to 9 conference games overall? A record of 9-3 should give an SEC team a pretty good shot at making the field, don't you think?
Well, I think yes, but I think the other question, I do think it's going to expand to 16. I guess that vote's coming up next month, but I do think that's where you're going to go. I think the question is going to be, what's the format? How many automatic qualifiers are there? Are there going to be no automatic qualifiers? What is that going to look like in terms of how you get to the 16 teams? There's a lot of people in the SEC don't want any automatic qualifiers. And that means you get 6 SEC teams, you get six SEC teams, as opposed to locking in 4 and 4. You know, I mean, is there 4 Big Ten teams worthy of being in the playoffs this year? No. Will there be 4 next year? I don't know that there'll be 4 next year. You know, and so that's going to be the fascinating part of the format to me, because I think 16 is inevitable. It's just what's the selection process for the 16?
I mean, look, I was watching. I guess if Duke can still technically get to the ACC title game, and if Duke wins it, they'd be a 4-loss team. And so, like, there's a path to where, like, the ACC sitting there, like, with like the nightmare scenario, right? I mean, there lies the problem. I mean, how many times have we talked about in recent weeks? Well, there's all these teams in the ACC with either no losses or 1 loss. Now they're all with 1 loss. They don't play each other. Like,
it's not a balanced schedule where the good teams are playing the good teams. You know, now Pitt's got a chance to play spoiler. Pitt's got a chance to be a playoff team when you look at who they close with.
Sure.
But there's some other ones that it's like the Virginia thing. If Virginia doesn't lose their quarterback and they beat Wake Forest, who's beating them? They don't play anybody, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the challenge when you talk about the automatic.
You want a rivalry game, which are always X cards and a Virginia Tech, but they're without a coach. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Southerner 98, I feel like the move to 1 bye week next year is getting really downplayed. Is this not a major change? What is the reasoning for this move? Do you see this being a negative toward the final push in November for playoff teams seeking teams in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any coach wants 1 bye week only. I don't think. I mean, from a beat each other up standpoint, no, nobody wants that. Why is that? It's all about the calendar, and it's, when you're going to start, week 0, week 1. How does everything fall in the calendar? They've had many years, where there was just 1 bye week, but not when you're playing this kind of schedule. Nobody in the SEC is happy about only having 1 bye week next year when you look at 9 conference games plus a Power 4 game that you're going to play.
Think about, we talked about this on the Tuesday pod when we're like looking at the month of November moving forward. Tennessee's 3 non-conference games are all in the month of September, right? Next year, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. Start the season, first 3 games.
Yeah. And so what if your bye week is like, I mean, typically with the 2 bye weeks, like your first one's kind of around, week 4, week 5, 1st of October. So what if your first bye week's 1st of October? I mean, you talk about a gauntlet the rest of the way playing this schedule in this league. I mean, no one's going to feel sorry for you, but
I think if you're smart, if you're the league, the bye week for everybody is in a 2-week window. So half the league is off, let's say week 6, the other half's off week 7, and there's not like somebody playing some crazy amount in a row to get to that point.
Yeah, I think you have to look at that strategically and put that. I think that's a great point. How do you figure that out? I mean, you put it in a computer and it spits it out. But what you don't want is a team that has a September bye week and they play 9 straight.
Yeah.
That's unfair. You have to avoid that if you're the league when you're making this schedule.
You just played Furman, Georgia Tech, and Kennesaw. You get a bye week. Now you get 9 straight SEC games.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
And we keep referencing the NFL model. Well, the NFL gets 2 bye weeks. So, I love the 2 bye weeks from a content perspective because it just stretches out the season a little bit. Now it's tough on a bye week like last week. It was brutal. But in most years, it's pretty good.
Is that true, though? I thought the NFL only got 1 bye week. Am I
NFL gets 2 bye weeks. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, they've always gotten 2 bye weeks.
I thought they just had 1 as well.
Hey, with fantasy football, you only have to find the quarterback for the 1 week when they're off. I'm looking it up.
Okay, look it up. We'll go on. Vol around the world, from a purely roster build standpoint, which position groups? Just 1?
Yeah, just one.
Oh, and look up and see if they used to have two. I want to make sure I'm right, at least half right. From a purely roster build standpoint, which position groups is Tennessee closest or already there to having championship level talent, and which is furthest away? More to my point, I think we can all agree on some. How would you rank them in terms of they're there, very close, or very far away? So kind of go through the position groups here. You know, are they championship level, or do they still have room to grow, or are they just so far away?
I mean, I think they're there as a receiver group. When you look at this trio of receivers they have, I like Rodarius Jackson. I mean, I think that is a championship level receiver group. I think from a talent standpoint, their quarterback room. I mean, Joey Aguilar is a playoff caliber quarterback. They just didn't execute in a couple of games, or they would be there. You know, I think championship level is, if you're a playoff caliber team, then I think you have championship level talent. Is it across the board, Austin, that everybody is? I mean, Tennessee's got to be better at safety. Okay, we know that. Okay, I think they have to play better. They got to be more talented there. Whatever. But I think if you're a playoff contending team, legitimate contending team, then your talent level is comparable. Is it equal to everybody? No, but it's in the ballpark of everybody, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, I like their tight end room, don't you? I mean, I think, you know, but again, if you go ask every coach, position coach, do you have a championship level talent in your room? They're all going to go, no, I need more. At every school, Ohio State, there's some defensive guy and the wide receiver coach at Ohio State's going, man, I don't have enough talent. I need another guy. I need another dude. I mean, that's just right. I mean, that's who they are by nature.
It's true. It's so very true. And again, I think you're right from a standpoint of, like, there's going to be a lot of rosters that are give or take a room or two that are very comparable. And thus it comes back down to scheme, development, all the little things that take you over the top. Because I think a lot of the rosters will be similar in talent. Some may be a little bit more talented than the others, but the other ones won't be too far off. To answer the question, Eric, yes.
I've got it. I want to blame it on the lack of sleep instead of just stupidity. 1 year. I was right for 1 year. 1993. They experimented.
Were you even born then, King? When were you born?
I was 1993. Yeah, I was alive during the 1993 football season. So, hey, I remember. But I mean, it just makes sense. They keep expanding the calendar. Like there's not those bye weeks. Another roster management type questions. Who fills the GM type roles?
Billy Hott does for Tennessee.
Okay. When do we finalize? This is looking at the transfer portal, not your own roster, I believe. When do we finalize values for players/positions? Is there a big board for possible portal targets? Is there possible to flip a position group from weakness to a strength in one portal class?
Yes. Absolutely. They have, like, to Hub's point about safeties, that they have, earmarked, X amount of rev share to go towards trying to upgrade at that position, right? And they do that with a number of different spots. Now, that doesn't mean they'll be able to land the players they want to go get, so they may not have to spend, and they may not spend as much money as they have earmarked, and they'll go somewhere else. But yes, they have the budget, they have the board of, like, here's what we would like to go and do at these positions this offseason, because we feel like we've got to get better at those spots.
For the current roster, how do we preserve depth? What kind of conversations are happening with players to keep them home?
You better be having them. I mean, you better not wait. And I mean, I know everybody's tired of hearing me say that, but you better have, in this day and age, when you're talking about culture and you're talking about everything, you better be more transparent. You better have more conversations with your players as position coaches and the head coach, as you've ever had, because you're fighting various things. You're fighting outside distractions. You're fighting people in your kids' ears. And because it's so easy to move, those people who are in a player's ears have more viability, so to speak, than you would have had. I mean, previously, before the transfer portal, somebody said, man, you need to get out of there. And the kid's going, I don't want to sit for a year. I don't want to go somewhere and sit out. Now you don't have to do that. So you better be having those conversations on a regular and not wait till, if you're waiting till the week of Christmas or late, mid-December to have those conversations, man. You're playing catch up. You better start having those conversations sooner than that.
In his first 2 seasons with Tennessee, it seemed like Heupel gave the team a sense of swagger and confidence that they would win big games. Coincidentally, it seemed like we won more than everyone expected. In your opinion, does he still have the attitude and convey this to the team? Has he gotten tighter as each year passes, as the pressure to keep building on past successes gets greater and greater?
I don't know about and I guess everybody turns back to the Georgia game in that series where they ran the ball 3 times after the turnover, and that's going to be the defining moment for a lot of people with Josh Heupel, that he wasn't aggressive there. He played tight, he played conservative, and I think he made a mistake on that series. They didn't execute it, but I still think you could have thrown it, in one of those downs. But I mean, to me, they're throwing it more than they've ever thrown it. They've been aggressive out of the gate. I think he has confidence. I don't see this dramatic change in Josh Heupel that a lot of fans seem to think. I think last year I think he did a good job last year playing to the strength of his football team, which was his defense. I think this year he's trying to play to the strength of his team, and that's outscore everybody.
Yeah.
He had not one bad drive, but he had one drive against Georgia where he had a chance to stomp on their neck, put them away, and they weren't aggressive in doing so. And I think that's going to define this season in the eyes of a lot of fans.
Austin, I'm not trying to be rude here, but I mean, last year I think a lot of fans were just, this is so boring. No high-flying offense, no explosive plays, just defense is boring. I mean, you're playing, like Brent said, you're playing to your strengths, and you're going to win in games. You were a playoff team. Also, last year on the offensive end, I mean, Nico clearly didn't put it together while he was here. Tennessee's wide receiver room was turned over, hurt and battered and bruised. Tennessee's offensive line some of those guys couldn't make it through a game. There just wasn't that capability, in my opinion, last year to go out there and produce and do what you're seeing Tennessee's offense this year doing. I mean, so I guess my point is, like, what do you expect? He was like the Oklahoma game. A lot of people point to that game and say, so boring. He just took the putt. Like, you had 2 backup tackles in the football game on the road in the SEC. 2 strip sacks already happened in the game. Run the football, play defense, win the game. Like, what else can you do, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, I thought last year showed how he evolved as a head coach more than anything. And it's good to get back to the explosive plays and throwing it around the yard like he had this year. But, I mean, I thought he did a good job last year.
Yeah, I think he evolved in 2023. When Joe was the quarterback, he went to that Texas A&M game playing a certain way, trying to get, to give his team the best chance to win the football game and not just being like, let's go, let's, be uber aggressive at all times. I think he evolved. I think he's still the same guy. And again, Hubbs is right that the one drive just, it sticks out like a sore thumb so bad, right? Like, because it finally had a chance to exercise the demons of that series.
The false start didn't help.
You just, no, but
the false start made fans think you're more conservative because you're behind the sticks. You needed 15 yards instead of 10, and you still ran it 3 times.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help the narrative of Josh Heupel, but yes, it certainly hurt everything you're trying to accomplish there. And you just you can't have that. But I guess my point is, I think he has confidence. Do I think there's more pressure on this job now than there was in 21 and 22? Absolutely.
Yeah. And he brought that on himself by winning early.
Yeah, 21 was a mulligan because you thought you were going on probation, and that was a disaster. So whatever you got out of that was whatever. And then 22, you're this rocket ship out of nowhere. And because of that, everybody spent the entire offseason going, all right, we got to deal with Tennessee. Like, this is legit what they're doing there. So they come up with different ways to scheme you. Then you evolve and do some different things schematically. But last year you played to your strengths. You have to give yourself the best chance to win. Right now, their best chance to win is to try to outscore everybody. And that's why they're throwing it a crap ton.
Yeah.
They're throwing it. I looked it up because of this question. In the first half of SEC games this year, they've thrown it 115 times. Okay, that doesn't include the sacks. There's actually more than 115 called passes, and they've run it 77 times. Against Georgia at home, they threw it 21 times in the first half and ran it 11 with tailback runs. They've been aggressive. They've been aggressive. They've been really. They haven't had as much balance as they probably need to have, to be honest with you. but their best chance to win is to throw it around with the quarterback and the 3 receivers that they've got. They're trying to outscore everybody. Has it bit them in the rear end some? Yeah. Oklahoma, you threw a bad interception. Then you gave them 3 points on another interception to end the half. You couldn't protect. But their best chance to win is to throw it around because that's what you do the best on offense. And you got to outscore people because defensively you've had a hard time getting stops.
Yeah. Ironically, though, in that game, you got your best defensive effort, and you just picked the wrong time to have your worst offensive effort.
Well, and they had balance in that game. They threw it 23 times in the first half and ran it 20 tailback runs. That's the most tailback runs they've had in an SEC game by almost 10.
Neelanvol 1980, will the Vols be looking for a portal wide receiver to fill out the roster since Legend Bay flipped to Ohio State?
I don't think so. You like where you're at with Mike and Braylon, and I talked about this on Tuesday a little bit. You expect Brazel to go, but the other 2 should be back. And you like Rodarius Jackson, you like Travis Smith, and you have a lot of high hopes for Tristan Keys and all the other players that are coming in. So I'm not going to say they can't. I don't think it's a must. I think if you're going to spend money, go spend money on safety.
Iheartvols, how did Ty Simpson and George McIntyre compare as high school seniors?
2 different, Ty led his team to a state title in AA football, and George was in Division II AAA. So it's a different level of football.
I know he's saying senior year, but George also had he had the Jerry Garantano route, like 4 different offensive coordinators, 4 different offenses throughout his high school career.
Again, similar, both uber competitive. George probably a little more stoic than Ty, but their path on the field is just different because of the leagues they played in.
Here's the other thing, too. I'll say both of them. Ty Simpson, everybody knew who he was in the 8th grade.
Yes.
He had much more bravado talk around him his entire high school career. Whereas George, I don't know if late bloomer is the right word, Austin, but he did not have there wasn't all the stuff about him when he was in the 8th grade or a freshman in high school compared to where it was with Ty.
Yeah, and again, part of that's where you play. You're out in Martin, Tennessee, and you're the middle school.
You're the show.
You're usually Martin's coach's kid. You're gonna get a little bit more eyeballs on you,
right?
And for George, it was you come up in Nashville, you're playing at a certain spot. Over at Brentwood Academy, they're not gonna play you as a 8th grader or freshman or whatever. So it's just a different path. Yeah. Very different path in terms of competition and just path in general.
3rd and Chavis, was McCoy practicing today? If so, what was his involvement in practice?
He was practicing today.
Today being Wednesday,
he was practicing today. He has done more team stuff, but the number 1 corners that have still been on the practice field are Ty Redmond and
Colton
Hood. So he's done more. And we said the next step was team stuff. He's done team stuff. When is the arrival to the regular game action? I don't know. I wish I did know. I think that's been the $1 million question all season, especially since basically the 1st of October.
Austin, you've been all over this one from the time he got injured. Are you surprised in any way that he's still pushing to get to the field with this little time left in the season versus focusing on the combine and working out for NFL people in the spring?
Yeah, it makes me wonder, has the NFL said, hey, we'd like to see some tape, but he's not shut things down. He could have easily at any point in time, even after the Oklahoma loss when Tennessee was basically eliminated from the CFP, barring total chaos where they could slide back in sideways here at the end.
As you told me 2 weeks ago, it's not happening. 0% chance.
I did say that. You're right.
Not happening.
Not happening.
There's also 2 open dates in the NFL. And Hubs is planning on writing the injury report based on the league's availability report on Wednesday night, despite it not being despite the fact it's not an SEC game. So we all screw stuff up.
Yes. It's easy just to say no shot, Eric. But no expectations on it, and then everybody will be pleasantly surprised if something happens.
Now you're living my life.
So, we'll see. I think for Jermod, he's never shut it down. He's never came out and told the staff, "Hey, I'm not going." He's done everything that he can do to be able to try to go. I don't know if this is the training staff, if this is Jermod not feeling ready to go, if this is more. I don't know. I mean, at some point, when you're out there for team periods now, when you're out there for practice and you're doing more and more and more, at what point are you ready? I can't answer the question.
All right, Boo Carter question. Get ready for this one. Why do you think the Boo Carter situation has turned out the way it has? The program has been described as a family atmosphere, and players have discussed holding each other accountable. Do you think Boo's circumstances have impacted the locker room in any way this year? Do you think this sets a poor tone for players next year?
Has it impacted them? I'd say to a degree. I'm sure it has. I mean, do I think it sets a bad tone? No, because I don't think. I mean, it's not like he just kind of came back and was. I mean, he's came back. He's had to do punishment. He didn't practice for a couple of weeks at all, and was doing all this stuff, all on the side. Then he never has started. I mean, they've never started him all year, and I think that that bothered him. But hey man, you have to do the little things off the field, and you didn't do everything you needed to do after you screwed up in July. And deep down, I don't know if he or anybody around him actually thinks he screwed up in July. Do they even realize what they did? And so yeah, I think it's impacted maybe a little. I don't think it's impacted long term.
In last week's War Room, you, I guess Brent, made the point Tennessee staff had discussions last week about 2026 NIL. Did they not work to reach agreement with players/representatives for next year like Oklahoma's GM planned since they had the same bye week off? If not, why?
I mean, I think they had this. I think they continue to have discussions. I think they use the bye week to have conversations internally, like where are we? Who do we need? Who do we want to keep? Who's going to cost us more money? All of those things. Now, I don't know, Austin, that they went to the table with new deals for players right now, but I do think that they're, have themselves organized. Here's the thing too, with the portal not opening to January. You have to have a plan, but you don't necessarily have to engage in negotiations necessarily right now. Again, I think you better have conversations, but I don't know that you have to have, hey, we got to sign this open date. We got to get this done for next year, but because of the timing of the portal now.
Well, they've had discussions over the last few weeks. Because, I mean, at this point, with everybody having an agent, like it's, people on campus working the rev share stuff and the agents. Like, so it's not really involving the players, so to speak. Outside of like, hey, or here's what we were offered. Are you good with this? And there's been a few players that have done deals already heading into the next year. So I'm not saying names because that's not up to me, but there have been a few that have already agreed to new deals. So that's a positive.
Basketball question from Jet3. Do you think Barnes goes after Carey if he knew how good Dewayne Brown would be as a freshman? It looks like with the lack of effort Carey shows, Barnes doesn't want to play him.
It's 2 games. Everybody calm down on Carey. Let's don't write everybody off because they've played an exhibition game and 2 regular season games. I think Jalen Carey is going to be fine. I think he's got to get his confidence going right now. I don't think he's playing with a lot of confidence, particularly on the offensive end. Dewayne's situation is he has benefited from getting beat up on every day in practice starting in June till they get to this point because he was the one guy healthy. I think Rob mentioned that on the podcast on Monday or Tuesday when we were talking about this. And because that he's ahead of where everybody thought he would be, but they're going to need both of them. Okay. I mean, let's don't put a Jalen Carey's suitcase outside the Food City Center and tell him to get in the car and leave because he's going to help this basketball team. I don't think he's this complete bust washout.
He's not Darlington Dubar where he came in with a certain thought process and then just isn't going to factor. I think that's most likely potentially the Abrams kid who's bounced around to 4 schools in 4 years. I just that's the one to me that if he doesn't pick it up, if he doesn't figure it out, he's going to be the one on the outside looking in. Because, I mean, this team's got incredible depth. I mean, Ethan Berg is fantastic. I love his game. I love the way he plays. I think from a physicality standpoint, Amari Evans, he's a big freshman. He's physically pretty ripped. I'm super impressed by him as far as just how physical he is as a freshman. Obviously, we all know, the other key players here in this deal. But in the post, I mean, you have options, which allows you to play Cade more out on the perimeter. And he can kind of sling down there if he needs to, because he has in the past. But I mean, what Estrella's bringing, Dewayne Brown, Jalen Carey's going to come with Hubs. He's going to, it's 2 games. Everybody freaks out. It's basketball. You're playing a ton of games. This isn't football where, a fifth of the season is gone. I mean, this is, how many, what is it with percentages? I'm looking at percentages. We played 5-6% of the season. I mean, let it play out.
And don't forget, Jalen Carey beat up on your team last year in SEC play. Beat up on a lot of SEC teams. He's played in this league. Again, two games in.
What did Hub say the other day? If you're peaking in November or December, then you're set up to fail. This team is supposed to peak, especially with all the change. I mean, look at all the new faces they have on this roster. This team's meant to peak in January, February, and March, not November, December.
Volume shooter, what should be the standard at Tennessee in regards to team success? How often should we be competing for or making the playoffs? I think every single year the standard is competing and being right in that playoff discussion. I think if you're not in that playoff discussion, then I think it's a bad year.
You should be in the range, right, Hubs, every year. Whether you're 25th or 5th, you should be somewhere in that realm.
What's the old Philip formula? You got to be in the hunt. You're supposed to be in the hunt every year. And Tennessee should be in the hunt for legitimately in the race for the playoffs every year. Doesn't mean you're going to make it every year, but you should never open a season. And this is where Tennessee's at. You should never open a season where you say you got no shot, and you should never go into a weekly game where you go, they ain't got a prayer competing in this one. Everybody's lived that life. There's too much investment. There's been too much recent success. There's no reason Tennessee should ever be back into place where you say, we can't compete with that team on Saturday. We're wasting our time traveling down there and playing them. You had that feeling for a while. That feeling is gone, and it should remain gone.
AP, are the Vols in on 4-star tight end Pierce Petersohn now that he's reopened his recruitment?
No, don't believe that's they're going that route.
All right, and last question, we'll go to 007 Vol. Do you see any type of new rules or regulations regarding NIL this coming offseason, such as opting out of games and losing some of your money, etc.?
Nope, not in the NIL world. I mean, you got to get to a collective bargaining, and they got to become employees before you can take a salary away from them for not doing the work. Now, if you're supposed to go do autograph things and all that stuff, and you're not fulfilling that end of the obligation, then you can lose that deal. Okay, but you can't look at him and go, hey, that kid played bad, we're not paying him this week, or hey, he's got an ankle injury, we're not paying him that week. And you got it. That's not where it's at, and Lord knows we're a long ways from that, because I don't see them becoming employees in the next little bit. So.
AP, if that was Hubs' mindset, man, I'd be screwed. There'd be weeks at a time I just want to get paid.
Well, you always work. You're always.
Kane, you had a real that article you wrote, man. That first glance, that's pretty pathetic, man. All right, we're gonna.
He would never pay me. We all can't be Matt Ray, right? I mean,
yes.
Our Grant Ramey, right? Hey, I know that was the last question, but I do have one other question, because it was in one of the mailbag questions, and you glossed it over, Eric. Got asked about facilities, and sort of what was next on the facilities front for Tennessee, major or minor. Obviously, they're finishing up Lindsey Nelson Stadium, continue to work there. Interesting that Danny White goes to Twitter on Wednesday and tweets out feasibility study for an expansion to the north end of Neyland Stadium. Obviously, he wants to do the entertainment district. They're going to go there. They've got to fix the congestion issue in the south end zone upper deck, which he addressed in the email or the text message he put out. That has got to be a priority, because that is a dangerous situation from all of the pictures I've seen. My question to you guys is, does the place need to get any bigger? I know there's a waiting list for tickets, but I mean, in this world that we're living in, where you're competing for all this money, and people are less likely to do things if they're more inconvenienced by it, is bigger necessarily better? I think that's an interesting. I'm not saying they'll ever expand the north end upper deck. I'm not saying that this will ever come about, but is it even worth a feasibility study at this point?
I mean, the orange race is over in that regard, right? I mean, that was a while ago. I mean, bigger. Like that's why. I mean, you took out how many seats, Brent? Like you took out to make the little brewer, the Yeehaw deck over there. I mean, to me, no. Like there's so many more other areas where your dollars and cents need to be going to. Would it be cool? Sure. But I mean, Tennessee battling Michigan for the biggest stadium. I mean, that's old news in my opinion. So I would concentrate on something else. That's just my opinion. But, bigger is always better, right?
Well, you could do like Mississippi State did in baseball and get too big of a stadium that you now can't pack.
Yeah.
And that can happen with the football team. I mean, I'm with Hubs. I know there's a waiting list, but all it takes is one bad year and everybody goes, I ain't going to that. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there and playing, in front of a bunch of empty seats that you don't need. And, I mean, do the fireworks guys on top of that deal, do they really want to go any higher than they already are? I mean, come on. Think about things.
I mean, I'm not saying it's like the wrong thing to look into or to look at. I just don't know if that's the supply and demand thing. Demand's a good thing. Excess supply is not a good thing. And I think that's where you have to be careful. And I understand what your expectations are. We just talked about it, be in the playoffs. If you're a playoff caliber team, you should pack a bunch of people in there every time. But, there's also been a lot of frustration this year because it's been harder. People felt like it's been harder to get in and out, whether it's foot traffic, car traffic, whatever the case may be. I think that's a real slippery slope to walk down. So we'll see if anything comes of it. But I did want to answer that question. I think Food City Center is done. I don't think there's anything going on there. I know some people have asked about the exterior of redoing that. I think from a cost standpoint, that's not the best way to spend your money. They're obviously finishing up baseball. I think they're finally going to get the Anderson Training Center expansion complete, and that should be done. You should not do any more of those ever. And then, we'll see. I mean, I think, you got to look at what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. They are going to take down the speech and hearing building, by the way. And that's been planned. They formally announced that today. That is going to be demolished and taken down, which will open that corner up because that's going to remain green space. They're not going to build anything back there or put a parking lot there. So that's going to open up kind of the Peyton Manning Pass, sort of that funnel area down through there that maybe can ease some of the congestion that you have at the bottom of the hill.
Disaster. Where we tape the 2-minute drill.
I was going to say, isn't that where we every Saturday? So
you're gonna have to find you a new spot.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Appreciate all the questions. There's plenty more we didn't get to, but do thank you guys for sending those in each and every week. Football season football is back at it following the bye week. 2 bye weeks here in college football, not in the NFL, so we'll have all the action there. Basketball happening right now. Baseball fall's wrapped up. You've got basketball recruiting, plenty of stuff over on the Journal's Quarters each and every single day. So come check us out. If you're watching and listening to us, we thank you so much. Come join the family, the #1 Tennessee online community, Tennessee football online community there is. That is on the Journal's Quarters. So you can join for $1 your first week. Check it out. If you don't like it, you're just out $1. $1 for your first 7 days. Volquest.com. For Brent Hubbs, Austin Price, I'm Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys for joining us here on the Volquest Thursday morning Mailbag Podcast.